So not only am I a huge gear nerd, I'm a huge tech nerd in general as well, and I'm constantly finding myself searching for the latest and greatest gear to min-max my productivity and make the most out of the experience doing the things that I do and creating the things that I create. And, I search for new things every single year. And, this year is no exception. And I've bought a bunch of stuff to help me out with my creative business this year. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite bits of tech and desk accessories that I've been using recently. And if you see anything that you'd like, I'll have some affiliate links down in the description box below. Using them doesn't cost you anything at all and really helps support the channel if you do end up purchasing from them. So please consider using them. Thank you so much. Let's start off with the very first one on the list, and we'll start with audio first. So this is the Sony WH1000XM5. It's basically this year's revision of the ever popular WH1000 series from Sony. It's still a terrible name, but it's still an absolutely fantastic product. Now, I've owned every single version of these headphones, and these version 5s are definitely the most refined of all of them by far. And while the M3s and the M4s sported a very similar shape, this year's version has an all-new physical design that looks a lot more modern and a lot more angular than last year's versions, but it's still super light and amazingly comfortable for all-day wear. The sound quality and noise cancellation was already top tier and industry leading, and the M5 really does take it a step further, and this time they added 8 microphones and a new integrated processor, making it even better than last year, which is pretty crazy to say. I use these headphones, I use headphones in general as a little bit of a hack for focusing. Whenever I put these on, it's focus time. Like, I shut out the entire world and I zone in on whatever work it is that I need to do. And recently there's been a whole bunch of construction going on outside my apartment Monday to Friday, and it's so goddamn loud. But with these, all of that noise is gone. It's absolutely fantastic. The battery life on these things is amazing as well. You get 30 hours of battery life, and it can quick charge 3 hours worth of battery in just 3 minutes if you need to juice it up really, really quickly, which I often do because I often forget to charge it at all because it lasts so long. The only real gripe that I have with these headphones is that, unlike previous versions, this version doesn't fold up. So when I'm traveling, it takes much more of a footprint than it used to take. And while I mainly use headphones at the desk here, in general, I think that's a pretty big step backwards, as I'm less inclined to then take these with me on travels now, and I'd rather bring the older versions instead. But other than that, these are fantastic. And if you're looking for a comfortable, high quality headphone with industry leading noise cancellation, then look no further than these. Continuing on with audio, but this time for recording rather than listening, here we have the Zoom F3. The Zoom F3 is a field recorder that allows for super high quality recording with extremely low noise. But most importantly, it does so via 32-bit float audio. I'm actually using the Zoom F3 to record right now, to record this video. It's actually sitting up there. I can't really show it to you, so I'll throw some B-roll up there right now. But this thing has been an absolute game changer for me. 32-bit float audio records just a tremendous amount of audio data versus 24-bit or 16-bit. Think of it like shooting in RAW versus shooting in JPEG. 24-bit audio records a dynamic range of around 144 decibels, which is great and more than good enough for most scenarios, don't get me wrong, but 32-bit float records up to 1,528 decibels, way more than you need and way overkill for what I'm doing here with YouTube, but it means that I no longer need to set audio levels with this device. In fact, the Zoom F3 doesn't have volume controls at all on it. You actually just record the audio and then you stretch the volume in post to virtually any level that you want, and it maintains a very super low noise floor and maximum quality, and it's actually sped up my workflow so much. When it comes to the actual build itself, despite how tiny this device is, it is built like an absolute tank. It is mostly a metal construction and it's a lot heavier than you would expect it to be if you just looked at it. It's definitely built and made to be used outside in more rugged conditions. It uses two AA batteries for power, or you can power it via USB-C, and it'll support two XLR channels at once. It also features a screen so that you can see the input signals, and you can also use it as an audio interface to plug directly into your computer if you want to do that too. I do that a lot when I'm streaming as well. I highly recommend it if you are looking to get into 32-bit float audio, which is absolutely amazing, or if you just want an audio interface or a field recorder that is tiny in size but super powerful at the same time. All right, let's move on to desk accessories now. So if you've been following me on Twitter recently, which you can do at HeyPatK, you'll know that I've been really getting into the rabbit hole of custom mechanical keyboards in the last couple of months. I've tried dozens of switches, I own a bunch of keycaps, and now I have 5 different boards of various shapes, sizes, and types. And I've gone so far down the rabbit hole now, and I don't think that I can ever get out. Not that I want to anyways, but you know, yeah, I kind of love this hobby. It's pretty awesome. But one of the nicer boards that I have now was very kindly sent to me by a company called Mode Designs. This is the Mode Sonnet, and this is the new one from them, and she's a looker. The Mode Sonnet is a premium custom 75% mechanical keyboard that really aims to be the centerpiece of your desk. It's a sleek, elegant, and refined kind of silhouette that's highly customizable as well. Every single Sonnet is made to order, and you can customize everything from the top and bottom cases, the accent pieces, the internal weights, the plates, the foams, all of the things. There are literally millions of different pairings that you can do with this config. When it comes to mine, I got the black top case with a mirror finish bottom case. I also got the brushed copper and stainless steel accent pieces. I got a brass wave internal weight and a hotspot PCB with an aluminum plate. When it comes to customizing and building your own Sonnet, they have a really easy to use configurator on their website, and I'll leave a link down to that configurator in the description box below, and I'll also leave my configuration code if you want to check that out and look at the exact configuration that I have as well. When it comes to physically building the Sonnet, it's actually really configurable in the way that you can adjust the typing feel and the sound of the board as well. You can go for an isolated top mount version with a more open sound and a kind of softer feel, or the stack mount version for a more solid sound and a firmer typing feel. For me, I'm still playing around to find the switches and the keycaps that I like to get the most out of this board. But for now, here's what it sounds like in the stack mount orientation with plate foam and the silicon base, using InnovoKey's Matcha Latte switches and Drop DCX black on white keycaps. So the Sonnet is shipping its very first orders from October onwards, so I'm told. And if you order now, the timelines are looking for around January or February next year. So if you are looking for an in-game keyboard that you can customize to your heart's content, whether that is from the configuration or to the building process, something that is going to be the centerpiece of your desk setup, then check out the affiliate link in the description box below to start customizing your very own Mode Sonnet keyboard. And thank you again to Mode Designs for sending me out this wonderful keyboard. All right, next up for the desk items is something that is kind of low tech, but at the same time, just so completely over-engineered and over-designed that I just kind of had to have it because it's just so ridiculous. This is the Pen Type-B by CW&T, and it is a fancy ass minimal pen that is designed to last generations. And honestly, after spending some time with it and getting to know it, this pen is something that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. That is for sure. And you know, judging by the amount of money that I paid for this pen, I damn well better have it for the rest of my life. Now, this one I got is the polished titanium version with a custom engraving and a fancy aluminum case. Although you can get it in polished brass, black Cerakote titanium, or even a matte titanium finish as well. The pen itself is machined with ultra high tolerances so that when you pull it out of the sleeve, it makes a super satisfying and addicting popping noise like this. You know, and this is due to the piston-like effect that it has. And when it falls slowly down inside the sleeve, it makes a super satisfying click at the end. It is absolutely amazing in just the little details, right? On the sleeve, it's machined flat so that when you lay it down on your desk, it doesn't roll around. And that's also where the engraving on it goes as well. And for you designers, architects, and illustrators out there, this pen uses the High-Tech C ink cartridges, which is a hugely popular ink cartridge style and a huge bonus and huge plus from me as well. But overall, I can't really recommend that everyone gets this pen though, especially for the price that it cost. It's certainly overkill and certainly a luxury, but you know, if you're looking for an over-engineered, over-designed pen that lasts you a lifetime, then maybe this one is for you. I don't know. All right, moving on. So over the last few months, I've been having a lot more screen time than normal because I've been working a lot more than usual. So my eyes have been super strained, unfortunately. So I thought it's time to get myself a monitor light. Now, monitor lights are nothing new. They've been around for ages, but I've never really needed one or justified getting one until now. But they are super helpful for adding a lot of ambient light to your desk, especially at night. And you know, this ambient light can reduce the amount of eye strain you end up having depending on your setup. For me, I always knew that I wanted something from BenQ because they've been recommended to me so many times by so many of my friends. But you know, there are a lot of different brands and different price points, so definitely do your research and shop around a little bit. I ended up getting the BenQ ScreenBar Halo out of their entire ScreenBar line for two main reasons. The first of which is that the Halo version comes with both a front light and a backlight. Now the front light is your usual light kind of style. It's tiltable, it's 500 lumens, which is really bright, and it's super nice. But then behind the unit, there is a backlight, and that goes behind the monitor and projects light onto the wall. Right now, I don't have a wall to project that light onto, but I will have it for my next setup, which is why I got this specific version. And this light acts as a kind of bias light against your monitor's brightness, which further helps reduce eye strain. Now, the second reason is that the ScreenBar Halo comes with a wireless control puck kind of thing where you can control the warmth of the light, the brightness, the mode. You can even set it to auto and let it measure the amount of ambient light in your surroundings, and it will give you the optimum settings for that, which is pretty neat. It also has a preset function allowing you to save one preset that you can use over time, which is kind of nice, but I wish there were more presets available to set. You know, like 3 would have been great number for example. Overall, this screen bar is fantastic. I love it. It's really good, and it's a lot better than I thought screen bars would actually end up being. It is a little bit pricey, but it is feature packed and it's more than bright enough to light the entire desk. It doesn't cause any screen glare at all, and the little puck control thing doesn't have any wires on it, so it looks very neat on the desk. Highly recommended. The last two items here on the list are things that are more related to my workflow in terms of creativity and photo and video more so than anything else. And the first one on this list here is the 2470 G Master version 2. Now, fans of the channel will see that this is something that is quite familiar because I've already done a review on this fantastic lens in the past, and I will leave a link to that in the description box below. But I include this lens here in this list because I've been avoiding 2470s for so long in my career. Not for a lack of trying to use them, but just because there've been so many different compromises that I just felt weren't really worth using it at the time. But after having used this new 2470 GM2 and bought my own copy, I finally feel comfortable owning and keeping a 2470, which for me is actually a huge deal because it changes my workflow quite a bit. Now, I've used this lens quite a lot on a few trips now, mostly on international travel, and it's been a fantastic one body, one lens scenario for me. I've been pairing it with the Sony A1 and the Sony A7 Mark IV quite often, and these combos are fantastic for the majority of things that I've been shooting anyway. I won't waffle on too much about this lens because, again, I've already done a full review on it, but I just wanted to mention it here because I've been enjoying it a lot this year. This thing is sharp, it's light, it's really versatile, and it's most definitely, by far, the best lens, the best new lens that I've owned this year. And then last but not least is actually a complete change in direction to how I usually have my work and productivity setups. So usually I have a MacBook Pro as my one and only machine, and I take that around with me while I'm traveling, and then when I come home, I then plug it into a bunch of monitors and peripherals and make it sit at a desk. But since owning the MacBook Pro M1 Max at the end of last year when it first came out, and then taking it around to Europe and a whole bunch of countries there, and Hawaii and Vietnam and all of the other places that I've been to this year, it's just kind of not travel friendly enough for me. The 16-inch version is just really large and really heavy, and while it's really powerful as well, when it's combined with lenses and cameras and drones and batteries and what have you, my backpack just gets really overloaded, really heavy, really quickly. So I decided to mix it up, and for the first time in probably like 10 years, I think, I decided to go with a desktop and a laptop combo so that I could have the best of both worlds, the best of both performance and portability. So I bought a Mac Studio with M1 Ultra and a MacBook Air with the new M2 chip, and the switch has been just phenomenal. It's been so good. With the Mac Studio processor-wise, it is so insanely fast for absolutely everything that I throw at it, from photo editing to video editing, rendering, all of it. And importantly for me, from a I/O perspective, it has a substantial amount of ports that I end up actually using most of the time. So I am fully Thunderbolt on my entire workflow at the moment. All of my hard drives and SSDs and even my 4K 144Hz monitor here. And because all 6 of the Mac Studio's ports run on independent Thunderbolt buses, my workflow just absolutely flies compared to the MacBook Pro. So that's the power side of things, but the portability side of things gets me super excited as well. The M2 MacBook Air has just genuinely impressed me with its capability. I originally got it because, it's tiny. It's tiny and it's light, and I barely feel it in the backpack. It's so good, but in actually using it and getting to know its limitations, it's an extremely capable device that I feel comfortable traveling with and doing all of my work on the go with. It's more than fast to edit my 4K YouTube videos with, and the render times aren't too bad as well. The screen and the performance are still fantastic for my Lightroom editing process, and the keyboard is awesome for writing scripts and my course and my ebooks and stuff like that as well. And honestly, I could have done all of my creative work on this one laptop alone. And I'm so glad that I have such a thin and light powerhouse with me on my travels. There are limitations though, of course. You can't use more than one external monitor at a time still. And I'm personally suffering from power draw issues when using more than one Thunderbolt device at a time. But for the most part, everything else, damn, this thing impresses me so damn much. And as a little bit of a side note, I'm actually so in love with the color as well. This midnight blue color absolutely slaps. And it is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, and that's fine. It's worth it for me, really. I like this color that much. Alrighty, again, if you see anything that you like, I will leave a link to them in the description box below, and using those affiliate links will help support the channel. So please do so if you feel like it. For now, that's it for this video. I will see you next week, but until then, get out there and make something that matters. Peace.